For anybody who is avoiding their symptoms or avoiding heading into the doctor because they know up here, something's not quite right, I would say listen to your body. My name is Meghan Holmes. I was born with a unicuspid aortic valve, and I had my heart surgery for that. I had a mechanical valve replacement at the age of 42. Growing up with a unicuspid aortic valve was something I knew in the sense that I had a different heart. When I was born, the doctor heard the murmur right away. It was very apparent. And so our family knew I had a heart condition. What that meant was not something that I really understood. It was not really talked about. When I was born, we lived in a small community. It was about 10 hours from the city. And at a young age, I did not see a doctor very often. This was also in the 1980s. It was a different time than it is now. And so access to care was something that I didn't easily have. And so I only really went to see a cardiologist as a child, I think once or twice. And so the main knowledge I had about my heart condition was from those 2 appointments. I remember as a 6 or 7-year-old being put on the treadmill. It was a really big deal going down to the city and being put on a treadmill, speaking to a cardiologist. And he said to me then, so if you can picture yourself as a young child, and he said, you'll have to have heart surgery someday. And so taking that knowledge, just that thought that my heart was different and that somehow I was different, but not knowing what anybody else's heart was and what their experience is, I just was me. So the signs that I saw for when I should be having heart surgery, that happened actually a few years before I was told that. And at that time, I would be a lot more short of breath. I would be having a lot of dizziness. And I was basically experiencing things that without the proper framework of that knowledge of exactly what was happening with me, I felt like physically I was actually lazy, or I wasn't good enough when I was at yoga class. Why am I not able to do this? Or running, I'm not able to run. And why is everybody walking so fast ahead of me? And I'm walking as fast as I can. So it had been a sense of something's not right and I'm slowly falling asleep. That's kind of how I felt, was everything was slowing down. But you're in that existence all your life, and it's just who you are. And so you're not necessarily knowing how you should actually feel. And that's how I felt after my surgery, and I can talk about that. That was a real change and a real awakening to what I had been missing my entire life. It's been physically incredible. So as I had said, I felt like I was slowly falling asleep at that stage before my surgery, before I needed my surgery. In hindsight, when I think about my entire life that I was aware of, I've always had symptoms. There's always been things that have held me back. And I didn't really realize what they were. Now that I'm on the other side of my surgery, it is incredible. I think about the fact that they took out a valve, put in, a piece of equipment basically, and it has changed my entire life. I can breathe properly. I can exercise properly. I have so much energy. It's coming out of my fingertips. It's the most beautiful feeling. And I think it's something that is very, I would say, appropriately existential. And it's given me a lot of faith in other people and in science and in medicine. And it's shown me that you can have second chances at life and you can have whole other lives. And so I'm just thrilled. So in cardiac rehab, you have to be on treadmills and all these things. You're hooked up. And I remember thinking to myself, when I'm on this treadmill here, you don't really know how to run. But I was seeing as I was getting better and better that I could. I was hitting a mile without stopping. I'd never in my life been able to do that. It was something that I couldn't believe I was able to do. You'd hit a mile, you'd hit 5K without stopping. And it was something that it was so joyful for me to be able to really, it's an achievement. It's so funny for, a lot of people, you can just do it and you don't think about it. But to me, being able to at that stage do it showed me how this surgery changed my life. To anybody who is ignoring their symptoms or putting off a doctor's visit, do not be afraid of those things. What's happening is that your body is talking to you and it's saying something isn't quite right. And I know it's scary. It's scary to go into a doctor's office with that mystery. But I think when you have an understanding of what's happening in your body, that's a real empowerment to you. What you're doing is basically securing your future. I think when you want to know these things, you're choosing life. You are choosing life. Don't be scared of these things. There are people that love you in your life and they want you to take care of yourself. And if there's things that need help, try to get them fixed. It's important. I'm always learning, but I feel empowered to say something if I feel symptoms. I'm empowered to pursue appointments and tests if I think they are necessary. And I've learned to communicate with my doctors what I feel is happening and listening to them and appreciating their opinions as well. And it's just basically having to be a team for the health I have. To me, having a second chance means I have a whole other life ahead of me. I have a life that isn't impacted by heart valve disease. It's a life I get to enjoy and explore, get to be a part of my family's life going into the future, seeing my kids off to college, hopefully weddings, hopefully jobs, travel, all the things, exploring life on Earth as a human. Enjoy it for another 30 years or so. I'm so thrilled. Yeah, so the experience I had, and this goes to the time that I had my heart surgery, was over COVID. And everything that was happening at that time for all of us, but in the healthcare field in particular, I felt for everybody who was involved. And at that time, I was going through heart surgery. I saw what was happening in the ICU. I was seeing what was happening everywhere. And I felt that as a patient, it's important to be positive in the space you're in. I think it's important to have empathy for everybody involved, patients and physicians and other healthcare staff. Patient advocacy for me is just to share my story. At that time, over COVID, there wasn't really any interactions with other people. I felt quite alone during my experience at surgery and also into recovery. And I had to do that on my own. And I think it would have been really valuable to have heard other patients' stories who have gone through it. In the advocacy work that I have done, a really special thing that I've been doing is speaking to other heart patients after they've had heart surgery at the hospital where I had my heart surgery. Either they're about to have surgery or have had surgery. And so I'm just there as a friendly face and offer just to hear what they're going through. And what they've said to me is it gives them peace. It allows them to feel like they aren't alone. And I think for all of us who have these heart conditions and are put into a system where this is done every day, all day, it's something that, of course, is understood as a surgery. But for the patient, it's their surgery. It's the one surgery. And it's something where you feel very singular. And it's good to feel like you are not singular. And so that's why I do patient advocacy work. In these times of challenges, when things are scary, there are always ways to come out positive and to give back and to be grateful. And I think that helps in the healing process. It helps in taking on the rest of your life, and it allows you to appreciate life even more.